All right, welcome back, guys. Well, we can't go fishing lately because the winds have been really high and the seas are too rough. And I want to go do some red grouper season because the red grouper season is open, but you take what you can get, right? So I'm gonna take this opportunity to change out the old vinyl on my seats and with some new vinyl. And as you can tell, these seats are 9 years old, and it's got mold on it. It's got a cracks. There's really cracking really bad there, all through there. We're gonna recover these seats today. So the tools you're gonna need are a scissors, a stapler puller. That's what I use. A pair of needle nose pliers for those stubborn staplers that you got to take out. A marker so you can mark your lines. Extra knife, and this is a really thin knife for in between those stitches. I like to use a good pair of gloves when you're pulling those staples out. But stay tuned, and I hope you like this video. The first thing I like to do is put some marks on here so you know where your lines are when you make your patterns. So what I like to do is around each intersection, like this is an intersection right here. So this is the beginning of an intersection. So I'll put a mark just like that. So you know that's where it goes back together. And then because you marked that one, you got to come down here and you got to mark this one. See, so when you make your patterns, you can use those lines. And because it's over here, I like to go ahead and do one right here too. If you do too many, it gets confusing. You want a different pattern, what you want. And then like right here, I would like to do one right here. And then probably right here where this thing meets, right here, I do one right there. So, but you got to come in here, you got to cut your seams like so. Try to cut it as much as you can on the stitches. It'll make your pattern that much more better. See? Okay, now this part right here is like a extra padding, so when the boat sits on the seat sits on the boat, it gives it a little cushion there, and it protects your line a little bit. You gotta take all this off. This you don't have to. We'll make our own. We'll put it together. So here is the labor intense part. All these staples right here has got to come out. And you got to take every single one of them out. That's where the labor part comes in. So, like so. This, to my opinion, is the hardest part about the whole job. First mate usually gets out here and does this part for me. She also usually films for me, but right now she's too early in the morning for her. She's in there drinking her coffee. Okay, we've got all the staples out on the back side, but it's very important that you pull all these staples out. See all those staples I got out there? Very important that you pull them out, because if you leave any in there, it could damage your new vinyl and cost you more money. You don't want to do that. And to keep this, so far I've got about 20 minutes into pulling these staples out. I'm trying to keep YouTube world makes it look real quick, but it's not. I mean, that's just, all right, the way I do it is I just take that part out right there and lay it right there. And then let it dry. So see all these staples in here you have to pull out. But that's what holds down that piece. So that's what we're gonna do now. Okay, we got the old cover off. We got it cut so we can make our patterns with the new vinyl. And as you can see, I got all my markings. So I try to keep, see how I'm keeping it together? So I know how it goes back together. That's what I try to do. Somewhere I try to keep a little bit together so I can trace it out and all. Because you want this thing to go back together the way it came off. And like I said, I take this piece off and I make sure all those staples are pulled out of there. Because I want it to go back just the way the manufacturer had it. So it looks good. I like the way they did it and I want to do it the same way. So if you are worried about some stress marks, like right here, what I'll do is I'll double the pattern right here. If a lot of people are sitting on that right there, which they do, I'll double it. So they double the vinyl so it gives a little bit more support, which I'll make it better than what the manufacturer had it. So yeah, I've tried to keep them all together. So that's how you take it apart. Now I'm gonna show you how to make the patterns. Okay, it's time to start to trace out the new vinyl. So the tools you're gonna need a decent pair of scissors, an ink pen or a pencil. If it's your first time, I would use a pencil. I've done this a couple times, so I'm good with this. You see this better, but you gotta be able to hide it with your stitches. And you gotta have some clamps. I like to use clamps so I can hold it in place. A straight edge. And what I do like to do is, like, this is gonna be two-tone. So this is gonna be an ivory. I got an ivory, a menistic white, and an ivory. So it's gonna be a two-tone color. That's the way I wanna go with the new vinyl. Now, I take the one tone, which is going to be the meniscus white, and I lay it on the ground so I can use that as a reference. And this is going to be the ivory. So I'm just going to place it on here. I'm going to clamp it in place, and then I'm going to trace it out. Up about a 3/8, because that's about the size of your stitch. So you want to do that. I use these clamps to keep it in place while I trace it out too. Kind of mash it down as best you can, and then you want to leave, like I said, about 3/8, just like that. And then the same thing, you gotta go all the way around. Before you cut, you want to see these red marks. You want to go ahead and mark them on your new vinyl. But you don't want to mark them real big because the stitches has to cover that. For instance, let me show you this one here. Just like that. See how I'm doing that? So you mark your new vinyl all the way around. That way you know how to put it back together. I've got my pattern cut up. So now I'm gonna mark the opposite side of this. Since my mark's there, I'm gonna mark the opposite side. That way, when you're sewing, you can see both sides. That's what I'm gonna do now. Just by doing this right here. See? That way you've got, this is the side you're gonna see when you're sewing, the rough side. We have cut out our patterns. That is now this. So we've got to sew it all back together. And this piece right here is the piece that goes in this seam to hold this part down because it's two-tone. So that's what this is, right? And these are UV 30,000, and I think it's 20,000 rub. So, and it's marine vinyl. So you got to have marine vinyl to in the boat. At least that's what I want. Before we start though, get rid of the pen. You don't need a pen no more. You don't want to mark on your vinyl, so you don't need that no more. So the only thing you're going to need for sewing is a sewing machine, and I'll show you that. Okay, it's time to start sewing our materials together that we made. So remember your marks, and that's what I was trying to get at, is these marks have got to line up. So you want to make sure they line up. So that one lines up and that one lines up. So that's where you start, and you do back stitch at the beginning and back stitch at the end. And I double stitch everything I do. And in the middle, the middle part that's going to be fastened down where all the feet and everybody sits, that's going to get 3 stitches because I'm going to put the lace in there to hold down the middle part. So let's get started. Okay, we got our cover made, and not bad. It looks really good. I double stitched everything, like I said, and some places I triple stitched is the seam that goes down here. But I want to show you the tools we need to do to put this on to install your new cover. You got to have staples. If it's a 1/2 board, you can use 1/2 staples. If it's less, you'd have to use 3/8 or 1/4 But this is the key for marine boats with seats. See that stainless steel? That has to be stainless steel. If it's not stainless steel, you're not going to be happy. At about 3 or 4 months, your staples are going to start rusting. You're going to need a decent size nail gun. Now, other thing is, there's nothing on this table that I don't need. I don't have a knife, I don't have a red marker, I don't have anything that's gonna, no staples are on here other than what's in the staple gun. I don't wanna damage our new cover that we just made. So, and I made this here little quilt here. I actually took some old rags and sewed it together myself. And I got that on there so it protects the new cover. So let's get started on putting this new cover in. So stay tuned. Oh, and I've also put the plastic on here. This plastic was what was left over from a paint job we did around the house. So that's what we're going to use. Okay, we got the new seat on, new cover on the seat. So now I've got to take and put the cushion. It's like a extra layer of material here. So when you take this on and off, people don't see all this, and it makes it not look good. So I got to put a ribbon around all the way around it. So and then okay. Basically, all I did was I took the vinyl and I overlaid it like this, and I just sewed it down the middle. But this gives it a little, when somebody picks up this seat and looks on the other side of it, I don't want them seeing all these. I mean, you're going to see staples, but not like ragged like that. And it gives it a little extra cushion on the boat frame. So that's what we're getting ready to do now. All right, guys, there you go. A brand new cover for my seat that I made. And there's a few wrinkles in it, but hey, who's to say that ain't the way I like it? But I've got this, like I said, these will lay down once we sit in the chair. When it's on the boat, they'll flush like that. And the staples, I mean, you got to have some staples in there. I guess you could get creative and try to find a way to hide the staples, but they're stainless steel. They're not going to rust. Nice boat seat for a fishing boat anyway. So, well, I hope you like this video, and I hope you may have learned something here or not, but I paid, I think I added up the yardage and all. It came with the staples. I already had the staples though, but with the staples and all, it come to like $38 to make this new cover for my boat. And I'm not a professional. But it looks, I mean, it looks good. It's two-tone. I changed that. I like that. And a new seat cover for that World Cat boat would probably be about, if like just this part right here, it would be over $100 easy. Maybe even 200, because everything for boats are expensive. But that's what we got right there, guys. So thanks for watching. And until next time, I hope to see you on the water.